Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We are here at Rock and Roll Heaven Central, just outside of Chicago in St. Charles, Illinois, at the Arcada Theater. Welcome to Hangin Bangin, Artists on Lockdown, where each week we speak to some of the biggest names in rock and roll. And my co-hosts every week are my brothers. I'm so excited to bring them to the camera. Tonight's show is going to be just a mind blower with some of the people that we have, of course, as we do every week. But tonight in particular is very special. On our second half of our show, we're going to have some individuals who are a part of the whole mountain experience. Yes, we have our salute to Leslie West, who we lost just a few short weeks ago. But before that, we are going to bring to the camera my brothers in crime, in rock and roll. First of all, you know him from Black Sabbath, Dio, and last in line, the drummer himself, the icon himself. I know he is, because that's what he told me to say. Vinny Appice.
Hi, Ron. How you doing?
What's up, brother? How you doing? What shirt do you have on today? What is that?
What, this?
Yeah.
Chicago something.
Well, stop right there. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, Chicago. You know, they like New York. This Chicago. Yeah.
Well, let's bring. Go ahead.
I'd make fun of that shirt, but I can't see it.
What are you talking about?
I think you got mayonnaise on the camera.
No, I changed cameras, so you're wrong here. I look better. I know I look better.
It looks terrible.
What are you talking about?
It's all blurry. Yeah.
I changed computers.
Oh,
really?
You did? Yeah,
I think maybe it might be yours.
Oh no,
I totally changed computers. I don't know. Anyway, we got a big show here, brother, and let's bring our big brother to the camera, because this is a very what's the word? Bittersweet.
Special.
Well,
Okay.
It's bittersweet.
Yeah.
Let's bring Carmine Appice from Vanilla Fudge. And hey, Carmine, first of all, what can we all say? We know you're going through a lot this week. We lost your brother. I know your partner, Tim Bogert. We lost to cancer just, what, was it yesterday, day before?
Yesterday. Terrible. He's been suffering now for 2 months, for 2 years with cancer, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and, you know, each week we do this show, and I say this a lot, you know, about Vinny and Carmine, just true legends they are, and not only by virtue of, you know, your accomplishments, but the people, the guests we have each week, you know, every one of them always takes a little part of our show to say just how much of an influence Vinny, Carmine, you have been. But interesting enough, Tim Bogert's name comes up a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do a tribute to Tim in 2 weeks. We got some really big names that are fans of Tim's that committed to doing it. So
yeah,
it's gonna be really great for me to see that tribute for my brother Tim. You know.
Well, there's going to be. I'm very excited about that. I'm sure that's going to be an extended show because of the story. Awesome. Well, it's going to be interesting because not only do we have, you know, members of the rock roll industry who've been around since back in the day around him, but to have, you know, really your perspective. I'm sure Mark will be on, you know, just all the other guys from the Fudge, and other special guests to hear your perspective of working with Tim and just again what an influence he's been on so many artists.
We got a great quote from Jeff Beck today. We put on Facebook. It was awesome.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So,
I don't think Tim probably knew how loved he was.
Right? Yep.
No, I didn't. I tell you the truth. I put it up on the Facebooks yesterday. When I woke up this morning, my Facebooks were just blown up. I couldn't believe the amount of love that Tim was getting. And not only that, my phone, texting, phone calls, emails, all day long, yesterday and today, all I did was answer people. You know, everybody loved Tim.
Well, and that's really it. It's just, you know, what an effect, and it is an editorial on not just Tim, not just you, but how much the Fudge really had on the development of rock and roll in so many careers. It really is.
And then you know, we went on to Cactus and BBA. And, you know, a lot of the guys were real Cactus fans and BBA fans, and it was just unbelievable, very heartwarming. And I've been talking to Tim's wife. We even sent out a press release that got on so many other sites like Fox News site.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it got on Rolling Stone. It got on Variety. It got on all these crazy websites about Tim, and I was very happy to see that the respect, from those
Yeah.
kind of magazines and for Tim. It was really awesome. I wish he was here to see it. Maybe he is seeing it from wherever he is.
Well,
Did you see that picture of cactus I shared on your Facebook? It's taken in New York City in front of your Jaguar.
Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah,
That is a killer
it's
picture.
a great picture.
Powerful picture. I never seen that.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
we got to
That's
put it on the show.
That's a rock band right there. That
Yeah.
picture.
That is. It was in front of Electric Ladyland.
Yeah.
When we were recording the second album, I had my 1961 Jaguar Mark 9, looked like a Rolls Royce that I bought from Gene Cornish from the Rascals. The car had history. I had it for 40 years.
Wow.
It's now a limo in Memphis, being rented for weddings. That car.
After
Wow.
refurbishing,
Yeah,
many-
after
many.
refurbishing.
rebuilding.
And just plain aired out after he used it. So fumigated. Hey, look, we got a really big show, guys, tonight. I mean, really,
Let's go.
this is another all-star team of rock and rollers we have. I'm so excited to be in the presence of you guys and the gentleman coming to our screen, our first guest tonight. I mean, I could spend hours just describing these guys. I think we're going to bring Buck to the screen first. You all know him. You all know him from Blue Oyster Cult. I'll tell you what, one of the nicest guys I've known in rock and roll. Buck
That's
Dharma.
right.
How you doing, Buck?
Hey, Buck.
Buck, what's up, dude?
Ron, Vinny, Carmine. Good
Yeah,
to see
man.
you.
Good to see you.
It's
Yeah.
so good to see you,
You
man.
look great, Buck. You look really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I
I'm
like the
working on the
background.
lighting in my studio, trying to get
I
the
know, it
lighting.
looks good. It looks good.
Look at that frickin'. I'm suffering from microphone envy right now.
Yeah, well, it's probably overkill for a podcast, but I'm in my studio. Might as well use it.
Yeah, you have
I
to use
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So it's so nice to see you, Buck. I know, there's some historical stuff I'd like to touch on. We're getting some questions from our audience, but I know, 2020 sucked in so many ways. And one of the biggest ways is that, first of all, I didn't get a chance to have Blue Oyster Cult at the Arcada Theater.
No, I missed the date. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but we'll do it again. But another big thing is that you have a new album out.
Yes, came out in October, and we finished it under the lockdown, and it's the first record of new material in almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's new material. I mean, who wrote most of it? Is it a collaboration?
Eric and I and Richie Castellano are the main writers in the band.
Mm-hmm.
It's equally distributed. It's 14 cuts. It's all killer, no filler. And,
We'd expect nothing less from you.
the
that.
reviews are great. Unfortunately, there's no active rock radio for old timers like us. But
Yeah.
but check it out. You can go on
Well,
YouTube.
don't feel bad. I mean, when the Stones release a record, nobody hears it either.
Yeah,
Right.
that's how it
Or
is.
even Paul McCartney. He released that album last year. I bought the single, but I never heard it once on the radio except
Nope.
the Beatles
And it's
channel.
good stuff. And it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
It really, really is a good album.
Yeah.
Well, that's
We're
the
looking
part.
forward to hear it, Buck.
Really
Hey,
good.
let's also we have other gentlemen. I'm very excited to bring to the microphone. And this guy, you've heard him so much. Many of you know that you heard him from the Dewey Brothers and Steely Dan. But I mean, the list of people that he has collaborated with, it's just way too long to talk about. Let's bring Skunk Baxter, another legend that we have here. Hi, Skunk.
Yeah.
Skunk.
Look at this guy.
Hey, man. Hey, Buck. Hey, Carmine.
Hey, we're doing a Leslie tribute tonight. The only other person I know longer in the business than Leslie is Skunk.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
A long time. I know them about the same time when I used to play clubs in New York City.
Yeah, me
We used to
too.
play all the clubs together.
Wow.
Boy, 65, 64, 65, playing up on the Jersey Shore, playing at Tony Mart's.
Tony
all this
Mart's.
stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you remember the time when you guys met?
Oh,
I
God.
think it was at the Headliner when we met.
That, or was it what was that underground club? It was actually underground.
That's real underground.
That's true.
Yeah.
Underground.
I don't know. I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
I remember being underground, but I don't remember the name.
Right. The White Horse Inn.
Not the wagon wheel.
No, I think it was the White Horse Inn, and then there was a couple of it was, and down in the village because I was playing in the house band I was in the R&B band up there.
Right.
Yeah. And
That's great.
with that shit in the circle. That was a lot of fun.
Man,
And then we-
The
then we went
Gold
on-
Bug. That was it. The Gold Bug Cafe.
wow.
Yeah, I remember that now.
History. Hey, let's bring one other guest we have before our Leslie West tribute. There's another guy who's done so much, my gosh. Mr. Big, Poison, one of our favorite bands that comes to the Arcada Theater, the Winery Dogs, just blows the place apart every time.
Yeah.
And a tremendous solo career. Let's bring to the microphone Mr. Richie Kotzen.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
Hey, dude.
Hi, Rich.
Hey, Rich.
Hi, Rick.
Good to
Man,
see you again.
come on. You know, this is really killing me because, we all miss our music. We all miss the shows. But, you got to remember, I've got the venues, but I'm a fan and I'm backstage and I see, Buck, I see Rich, I see you guys, and I'm missing that. I'm missing Portnoy spitting on my floor. I'm missing really cool stuff here. But, man, how you doing, Richie? What you been up to?
I'm doing really good. Actually, put out a new single with my buddy Adrian Smith. We teamed up and wrote a tune and just released a song, and it seems that it's being received well. We got a name for the project called Smith Kotzen, and so that was.
That's very original.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Who
know.
wrote that?
It was my idea.
I'm thinking Mr. Smith wrote that one. I'm thinking because he was first.
Yeah, right.
I think it should be Kotzen Smith.
I couldn't figure it out. You know what? I thought, what was it? Adrian Rich. I think it sounded like a big country star, Adrian Rich.
Yeah.
Adrian Rich.
Yeah,
All
right.
thought out. How's
Yeah.
your project that you put out? I believe it was on your birthday last year. 50.
No, I turned 50 on February 3rd.
Third, right?
And I put a new album out with 50 songs that I wrote for my 50th birthday. And
That's cool.
I had the idea. I was on tour the prior year, and I was going through all these songs that I wrote that I never finished or that I didn't release. I thought, man, I wonder if I got enough time, if I could, finish them, and then maybe if I do it in time, I could put them out, in time for my 50th birthday. So I didn't really, if I wouldn't have been able to do them and finish them, I would have never put it out. But by the summer, it was like, hey, it looks like I'm going to hit my mark here. So yeah, 50 songs.
great.
You're a machine.
I like what you got in the background. It looks like you have some old tube compressors.
Yeah, I have. I got an original pair of Neebs over here, which are pretty cool. I don't know if you can see them. The 1073, and down there, the 1176s. I bought those when I was like 26 in San Francisco from was it Dan Alexander?
You got tape? You got tape over there?
I used to have tape, and I used to have an MCI machine, but that went away.
Wow.
Too expensive.
Well, it sounded good though.
Yeah, it did sound good. Yeah.
I love
I used
tape.
to be able to cut
Nice.
too. I used to cut my own, do my own
Yeah,
edit.
right.
Yeah.
I know. I remember one time with Rod Stewart, we had to find the middle of I think it was in between two beats, and we couldn't hear it. We couldn't hear it the way it was played, so we measured it with a roller.
Wow.
We measured it, and it was like 2 inches long, and we cut it right on the 1 inch line, and it worked.
That's
Wow,
great.
how
That,
scientific.
that was with Andy Johns. Andy Johns was the engineer on that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Great studio, man. Hey, Skunk. Obviously, everybody knows you from Steely Dan, of course, and the Doobies. But I do want to talk a little bit about one of your first bands, this whole Jimmy thing that I don't know a whole lot of people know.
Well, it gets a lot more visibility than it probably should. I think you're talking about Jimmy James or Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix.
Right. Well, at the time it was Jimmy James, and I was
Right.
working at.
That's
at
right. That's right.
I was
He used
working
to
at
play
Jimmy's
all around
Music
New
Shop.
York, right? He used
Never
to play
played at
New
the
York.
Cafe Wa.
Yep.
And well, he actually was playing with Joey D and the Starlighters, I think, just before that.
Wow.
But he came into Jimmy's music shop with a beat up Duosonic, and I had just finished customizing a Stratocaster left-handed. He was a right-handed Strat, but strung it up left-handed and customized it. And I traded it even to him. I didn't know, he's just a good guy. And of course, I got docked 3 weeks' pay for it because Frank and Jimmy Squilacci, the guys that own Vinny, said, no, you can't do that. But that's all right. So anyway, I went down to the club to have him, and one night the bass player didn't show up, so I just ended up playing bass for one evening, and all how stuff gets blown up. But I did actually. We had a friendship, and for a couple of things. One, my dad was military, and Jimmy was in the military and honorably discharged.
Wow.
So we would sit down and have conversations about I think it was 82nd Airborne, 101st Airborne. So we had conversations about that, and he liked the way I played, and of course I loved the way he played, and it was just a nice friendship. But as far as go on the road or playing in bands, that's a little overdone. But hey, I guess one day with anybody, you're in, right? So
well,
we used to play gigs in Uptown, 77th and Broadway, at a place called the Lighthouse. Did you ever play there?
Yep.
We played there with my group, with Dean Parrish, myself, Ronnie Lejack played guitar, and Ronnie played a lot like Jimmy. He had a little amp, he had holes in the speakers, he had a distortion box, and and we played 30, and Jimmy played 30, and we got to know Jimmy. We played there for a week like that, and we got to know him really well. The next time I saw him, he was Jimi Hendrix, and I was in Vanilla Fudge. I saw him in England.
Well, that was it. Chaz Chandler from the Animals came in to the Cafe Wah and saw him play. And I guess Chaz's wife and him decided they wanted to manage him. And next thing we knew, it was Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Wow. Yeah. When I saw him in England, I said to him, "Hey Jimmy, we used to play blah blah blah, on 77th Street." He sort of remembered, but then he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I play with Vanilla Fudge." He said, "I love the fudge."
Oh yeah,
that was nice.
And the other guy in that band, by the way, at the Cafe Well, was Randy California, and I know that's Randy and I had become again friends since almost as long as I know you.
Yeah.
And bless his soul, he was an incredible.
He's from New York area.
Must be because his dad played drums and he played guitar.
Right.
I thought he was California. I mean, Randy, California.
Yeah.
Who knew?
I guess.
Randy, New York.
Who knew? Yeah, he wasn't Randy, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Fuck, when you've been on the road, I mean, obviously, the Blue Oyster Cult is known for just a heavy tour schedule. Coming back, I mean, what do you think it's going to, help me. What do you think it's going to be like when they finally let the gates open? You think you're going to hit it hard right at the beginning? Or think it's going to be a little slow ramping up?
I think we have a finite amount of touring left in our careers, and so we'll probably take advantage of what time we have. I don't see us doing this for too many years out, but
You're not like Richie, who's just turned 50. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
When I turn 50, I'm going to put out my 50 drum licks.
I think one of the things that's going to be a factor is liability.
Yeah.
Because certainly everybody wants to play, but legal beagles are all looking at this as another maybe another income stream. But the idea is what kind of liabilities and what kind of insurance are venues going to be able to acquire to be able to cover themselves. I think that's going to be the main factor. I know everybody wants to play. I do.
Yeah.
We all want to play. I think that's going to be the yardstick by which all this is measured.
BOC did 3 dates after COVID. There were a couple of outdoor dates, driving dates, and a socially distanced indoor date, and it could work.
That's good. Yeah,
it
can work.
I can tell you, Skunk, as a venue owner, you're freaking spot on because every day attorneys are calling me, insurance companies. All of a sudden, I become Mr. Popular. with that economic sector. You know what I mean? So you're right, because there's so many angles here, and also, you know, the sanitation, you know, the sanitary community, you know, that all those new products and stuff, all these new things that they're trying to sell me. Whether you like you're at the airport where you walk through and it tells your temperature, it tells if you have this, that. I mean, it's like, okay, you can get a couple of these for 100,000 each. You get this for 150,000. It's like, what are you talking about? You know.
Well, listen, I'll make a couple of calls. I'll see if I can get you a small tactical nuke. You can light it off the night before the show. Ain't gonna be nothing you have to worry about.
You know what? And anybody here who thinks Skunk is kidding, he's the guy that can make it happen.
Right.
I mean, I want to touch on that a little bit, because with all the crap that's going on, I know we're not gonna spend a whole lot, because you're probably, you know, it's confidential. Or your whole world is probably classified. You're probably in some bunker somewhere right now, you know, 100 feet down. But to what degree? I mean, I can't believe. See, there you go. You see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? But this whole military thing, that you have such a big part with our defense system. I mean, are you still very much involved in that?
Yes, I am. And again, I'm not going to get too deeply into it. The good news is I love my country. Everybody on the show loves our country. And we all contributed to it in the ways we can. I was at the Pentagon and at 9/11. And I remember going in, and they asked us to volunteer, people who weren't married. So I thought, okay, they probably think there's some chem bio here, who aren't married and had high-level security clearances, to go in and see it happen. And when I saw the bodies and when I saw all of that, and I don't care what anybody says, it happened. I was there. I thought, you know what? This country's been so good to me. I played in Russia. I played in places like that. And there would be no rock and roll if it wasn't for the freedoms that we have. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of a sabbatical, and I'm going to go out and get bad guys. And it's been great. The conversation we had before is almost everybody 3-star and 4-star general I work for is a guitar player. They're all
that.
Hey, here's one for you. I talked to my buddy Scott Brown today. Ex-senator of Massachusetts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He jammed with you.
Yeah, I know Scotty. Good guy.
Yeah, good guy.
I'm just saying, I love my country, the opportunity to give. And by the way, I'm not going to get into any kind of patriotic stuff. I'm just going to say that every single one of you is a freedom fighter, because I went over to Afghanistan because I got pissed off at the fact that the Taliban was cutting the hands off of musicians, and it really pissed me off. And the reason they did that is because they're scared to death of what musicians can do. Get into your heart, get into, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? And when people come up to me in the music business to say, hey, what can I do? You're already doing it. They're more scared of you than they are of any guns or bullets. So every time you hit a drum beat, every time you sing a lyric, every time you strike a guitar chord or play a keyboard, you are a freedom fighter. So my heart and my thanks go out to you all.
That's a great way to look at that.
Back at you, brother. Back at you.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right
Hey,
on.
Richie, on some of the things, you know, the whole Winery Dogs concept. I mean, obviously, as you know, I'm proud to say that, you know, we're one of the venues that kind of hung in there with you right at the beginning, and watching the development of the dogs, just how it was going. You know, I mean, the first show we didn't sell out, we just didn't. You know, people are starting to know. Now it's crazy. Now, take us through that development, that evolution of the dogs with regards to creativity and that kind of thing.
Well, you know, it was perfect timing, because I was coming off of a record I did called 24 Hours, and I was doing a solo tour. I was in Europe and all over the place, South America, and I had said to a friend of mine, man, I could really use a break for myself, you know? When you're doing it on your own, you know, it's great, you know, it's your vision, whatever. But, you know, I just thought to myself, man, it'd be nice to just kind of let someone else help pull the wagon, so to speak.
Yeah.
No sooner did I say that, Eddie Trunk called me out of the blue and said, hey, would you be interested in talking to Mike Portnoy and Billy Sheehan? They are looking to put together a power trio. And they were trying to do something with another guy, and it didn't work out. And
I know that guy.
yeah. And so they said, I said, sure, why not? You know, so we got together and we went into I lived in a different house back then. And we went into my studio that I had there and threw some ideas around, recorded some instrumental bits. And then I went in and threw around some lyrics and melodies, and we ended up with a couple songs. And we thought, well, it sounds cool. We like it. We get along. Let's go for it. Let's keep doing it. And then we ended up with an album. And there was no pressure. It was like, hey, look, if we come up with some music that we like, and we want to, play together, great. If not, well, I've known Billy since I was 18. And then obviously I was in his band, Mr. Big, when I was in my late 20s. So, it was very comfortable to get back in the room with him. And Mike, being, from the East Coast, we hit it off right away, a lot in common. So it was great.
I'll tell you, again, watching the evolution and the excitement, and I've seen the evolution of your music as well. It seems like your music got even more energetic, more electric, more exciting. And I've got to think that part of it is the way the audience was responding to you that drew it out of you guys.
Yeah, I think initially, I don't think any of us were thinking that, we wanted necessarily to be in a full-time band. And then once the response came out, it was so strong and people really were into it. So we dove back in and made another record. And, we're talking about making a third record, but, obviously with the COVID and everything else, we kind of have to all be in the same room at the same time. And I live in California, Mike's in Pennsylvania, Billy's in Nashville. So it makes it a little tricky and, but, eventually we'll do something.
I saw these guys in, I think it was Dallas or Houston, Dallas, I think. Mm-hmm. And I specifically went to see them so I could see Mike play in 4/4.
Yeah, right.
That's funny.
Yeah, you remember?
That's funny.
And it was awesome, man. I thought he was awesome that night.
Yeah.
Actually, I liked him better in that band than any other band I've seen him in.
Yeah, well,
he was awesome. And the band was great. You were singing your butt off, played your butt off. Billy was doing Billy, and it was a really cool power trio. Made me jealous that I didn't have a power trio.
I know. Skunk, I mean, your career is just ridiculous. I mean, really, and in every positive way, the amount of material that you've played on, the people that you played with, and you probably get this question all the time, but I just looking at the names and the names and names. Can you tell me possibly what was the most interesting, most unique experience with one of these? I mean, like you went on tour with Maceo Parker and James Brown. I mean, some of these it's crazy, That a summer. I mean, what.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say because besides, I love playing live, but my real love is being a studio rat. That's been my thing since way back in the days in New York, first starting out. So it's hard to say. Every artist is different. There've been a couple of weird ones, yeah, but most people are nice. There are a few that aren't, and that's okay. You know that you're going to get paid no matter what. You do your best and you just leave. But it's hard to say. I mean, I loved working with Dolly Parton. She's an angel.
Who would have thought that would have come from you?
I love. Oh yeah, right.
I mean,
and as Carmine knows, I loved working with Rod Stewart in the studio, playing steel and playing guitar. I mean, it's. I'm sorry. I wish I could come up with a best as, but since each person is unique and each person has so much to give, I'm just lucky that somewhere along the line I got the opportunity to be able to do 800 albums and movie soundtracks and jingles and be able to play the guitar as a journeyman, because to me, that's almost the most important. I would rather be Top Gun. I'd rather be first call than a rock star, frankly. And God bless, life's been really good to me. But that was most important. I want to be the guy you call when you need something done. And so
you are.
Well,
Okay, just put your phone number on the bottom there.
Well, we do. I do have a new service now. It's called Drive-In Records. You come up to my house, You park outside and driveway. I have a big bay window. I run a line out to your computer. You run a line from your computer in. I do the overdubs. Fill out the W4. Thank you very much.
Fill out the W4. Okay. Technology, right?
That's a good idea.
Hey, all you guys should be doing this.
Everyone's going,
Yeah, that's a good
yeah, I
idea.
think it-
Yeah, Ronnie, you should honcho this and set this up for all these guys.
I'm doing it. This is going to be a service. Monday morning, it'll be up, Skunk. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Called Arcada Theater Recording Services.
No, it's going to be called, the skunk system.
Now, how about the Hangin' and Bangin', the Hangin' and Bangin' recording systems?
But yeah, Richie, I mean, you could run a line from somebody's, van out. Look at all the stuff you got. You're in business. Same thing with Buck. You guys are on fire.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Yeah, I need a long cord for mine. I got a big driveway.
Me too.
Do it on Wi-Fi. Make sure that you have a very good, very powerful, high baud rate Wi-Fi. Do it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe
Buck, your song, obviously, I'm Burning for You, Reaper, obviously classic.
One of my favorite
anthem.
songs on the planet.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? I gotta say that it took for you to play My Place for me to understand or realize, to my ignorance, that those were your vocals. And
right.
yeah, you know what? And now, are you doing some of the vocals on? Did you do some of the vocals on the new album?
Yeah, we're split pretty evenly between myself, Eric Bloom, and Richie Castellano makes his debut as the third featured vocalist. And there's plenty of stuff to everybody. Everybody's represented really well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. It's out. Did you say it's out or coming out?
No, it's out. It's out now.
It's out.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to get you got some new stuff coming out, Skunk?
I do. I put a solo album up on hold right now because everybody's waiting for, the death of the virus or whatever we're going to do. But started as an instrumental record, and then I got a call from Mike McDonald. Said, "Hey, I heard you're doing a solo album. I'd love to play on it." So I said, "Oh, okay, sure, that'd be fantastic." Then I got a call from Clint Black, and Clint said, "Wait a minute, what's going on? You're doing this right?" Okay, great, fine. And then Johnny Laing called and said, "Hey, I want to get into law enforcement, but I hear you're doing a record. I want to play on it too."
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay," because I was LAPD Reserve for 15 years. So Johnny wants to get in, wants to be a U.S. Marshal. So anyway, so I get a call from him. And next thing you know, I got this very kind of cool record. So we'll see how it goes. And but I'm proud of it. And I always wanted to do a solo record. I never done one. But I didn't want to be one of those guys from a band that was a big band that, then everybody goes out and does solo records. I just wanted to spend the time in the studio being a studio rat, filling out my W4, charging triple scale, and going doing what I have to do, and then wait about 20 years, right?
Well, see, I guess that's right. The one byproduct that's positive from this COVID. I mean, look at all the material that's coming out because of it. So much time to write, so much time to record, and with this technology. I mean, as Richie, we were finding there are two very distinct philosophies here with regards to recording. I mean, some people, they got to be in the same room. They feed off the energy. And others are recording from doing. I think it was Billy Sheehan was saying that he's just getting all these projects. He's doing the bass track.
Yeah. I talked to him about that.
Yeah.
Plus, you get to shed. I mean, being a steel player, the one thing you cannot do is not play pedal steel for more than 5 minutes because your chops. Plus, I'm just finishing a project mediating my pedal steel, so forget it. It's the coolest thing on the planet. I mean, imagine
How do you do that?
4 violins, 2 violas, 2 cellos, choirs. I mean, it's the way to go. How do you do it? Well, I've been with Roland for 43 years now.
Wow.
And the boys at Roland helped me put together a pretty serious piece of work. So
They make a custom pickup for the amount of strings on a steel?
those guys are yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been in their engineering division for 43 years. The guitar synth was my first baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, this year, this is past year, a few weeks ago, a couple days before Christmas, we lost another one, another hero, another superstar, another icon at 75 years old. All our friends, Leslie West, and just a true loss. And You know, what's really interesting to see was even with Rolling Stone. I mean, all the tributes that from superstars, how much Mountain had an effect on their careers as well. And we are going to do our little tribute to Leslie by having some of his cohorts, his band brothers on with us. Before we do that, I'd like to bring also another one of these rock and roll icons, played on so many different albums, so many different projects. Thal, our buddy Bumblefoot, come on up to the stage, brother.
Yeah.
Yay,
It's
Bumblefoot.
so good to see you.
Bumble.
Just having a nice little cup of tea.
Cup of tea, man. Cup
And
of
you know
tea.
what? I didn't recognize you without a guitar in your hand. Every single time you've had a guitar in your
Yes.
hand.
It's got to be right near him somewhere.
You know how they say on Fox News, Fox News contributor? He's a Hangin' Bangin'
He
contributor.
is. He's one of our Hangin' Bangin' brothers.
I've been just hanging in the back, just enjoying listening to all you guys. Wonderful stuff.
Great
Yeah,
story.
pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Well, you know, like I said, this is we want to talk a little bit about our the legend that we lost, and I want to bring to the microphone two guys who obviously one is a founder and one played with him for so long on several of his projects. Let's bring the legendary drummer himself, Mr. Corky Laing, to the microphone.
Oh,
There he is.
No
Oh.
picture? Could you?
Corky,
guys
turn
hear
on the camera.
The camera.
Corky's not good.
Hey.
Hi, Corky.
You made
tell you,
it. Hey, you made it, bro.
I've been listening to you for 30, 35 minutes. You guys are amazing. I don't know. It's great to see all you guys together. And I appreciate it's a tribute to Lester.
Lester.
I don't think there's enough time on this particular occasion to talk too much about it, but I just think it's great that Leslie, after all these years, is really getting his druthers. You know, he's getting the accolades that he so deserves. You know, we all been up and down and throughout it, divorces, legal things, marriages, deaths, and I'm gonna miss him terribly, and I know you guys will too. And the good news is he's got a lot of beautiful pieces of repertoire out there that have yet to be discovered.
Wow.
And you guys, it's great to see you making a bit of a tribute to him. And I don't know else. I don't know what else to say except it's all good. You know, we have.
Don't worry about it. Ron will ask you questions. He'll get
I
something.
will.
out of you.
I am going to get it out of you. But before I do, another young man that we want to bring to the microphone here to our screen is a young man that played with Leslie on incarnations of Mountain and other projects. And I was with him, and I just want to ask him, Peter Barron, why don't you come to the microphone here?
What's up,
good
guys?
to see you, buddy.
Hello,
How you doing,
everybody.
man?
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
Hey, Pete.
You know,
What's
it's
up,
really-
Cork? What are you doing?
Cork,
Hi, Peter. You
How are
still
you?
look gorgeous, man. You still look fucking
Hey.
gorgeous.
Thank you. Would you like to see my banister? My banister
No,
looks
I don't want to
gorgeous
see
too.
that.
The
That's
banister I
inside
haven't,
stuff.
the construction on my house. Anyway,
You know,
yeah,
Peter,
thank you.
welcome. Welcome. Thank you for being with us. And you know what?
Thank you
I
for
think it's
having me.
It's just amazing to me how, a 17-year-old, I
Yeah.
believe, got
Yeah.
involved with this project. And I mean, now looking back, do you believe that you really understood or truly appreciated the genius of Mountain, of Leslie, of Corky when you were first coming in
Well,
at a young man?
I was in high school when I kind of fell into the band, literally fell into that band because I didn't know that they were looking for a guitar player, and I was familiar with Mountain and all the bands that you guys were in, you know, Carmine,
Which is crazy
you know,
at 17 years old.
and I, you know, I've been playing since I'm 5 and writing songs since I'm 12. So I studied all these great bands and musicians and guitar players, you know. So I had already been playing for a while. And Leslie, you know, and Corky, I tell them, I blame them for me not going to college because I spent my college years on the road with them. And
Oh, that's,
Time well
that's,
spent.
Now, all my friends, I lived near the Fillmore East, and I grew up on Sullivan Street in Greenwich Village. And all my friends, my family's still down there. I live on Staten Island now. But, always going to the Fillmore. And matter of fact, Cactus was probably one of my first shows that I went to concerts at them in Humble Pie at the Fillmore, and great times for me. And we go with 20 of my friends. Anyway, I knew all the songs of all these bands. Mountain, and Leslie was one of the guitar players I studied. I had a stand, a taco stand in St. Anthony's Feast in Greenwich Village. And
Right on.
I used to practice in the afternoon through high school. And at the end of the feast, I would always work in sausage stands or different stands in the feast. And then I would go buy guitars and amps with all the money I'd make at the end of the feast. Anyway, I had my own stand. And in high school, I went to Stuyvesant High School, and I'd ride back and forth with my bicycle to school and this and that. So I'd open for lunch, and in between lunch and dinner, I would play my guitar in the stand and practice. So I'd have a half a stack of Marshalls down there, and at night I'd have a turntable on top of the Marshall, and we'd be selling sangria to the priests coming by the stands, and I'd be open like rocking with playing Deep Purple and everybody else at 3:00 in the morning, selling tacos in a feast where there was sausage stands and Zeppelis, and so. But I had the only taco stand in the feast, and I did really well with it. So some guy came by in the afternoon. I guess I must have looked a little unusual playing to a half a stack of Marshalls in the afternoon in a taco stand in the feast, but I used to practice because there was nothing going on during the day. And some guy comes by, and he's watching me play. Different people would come by and say, "Oh, no, very soft-spoken guy." And he was like 22. And he goes to me, "Oh, I'm a drummer. We should jam." Okay, we should jam. I just met him. He goes and he ends up calling Charles Lane Studios, which is where, Mountain rehearsed, and West Bruce and Laing and this and that. And I had heard about them there. And we used to go there as kids and rehearse, and with friends of mine that didn't even know how to play. And so he calls up the studio, and he starts getting to a conversation. Leslie happened to be there because Jack Bruce had just quit, and he had a tour to do in I guess it was about 3 weeks, and West Bruce and Laing tour. Leslie answers the phone. He starts telling him about me as a guitar player, and Leslie just told him, "Bring him down. I want to jam with him." And I didn't find out till I read Corky's book that they were auditioning guitar players, and I didn't even know I was being auditioned. And I just kind of came in and I played. I played Leslie something. He goes, "Play me something." So I started playing him his Dream Sequence from Flowers of Evil, which is probably one of the most classic rock guitar solos of all time, and loved it, shook the walls at the Fillmore East. But I had never seen Mountain before that. But I knew the solo with all the little violin things he did with his pinky and all that stuff. So I started playing him that. And Leslie goes, "Oh, I don't want to hear that shit. Play me something else." So I did a fast run up the neck of the guitar. I was able to play, and of course, the guys I studied, this and that. Leslie goes, "Come in the back," and there was Corky. He probably doesn't remember, right? I could see the expression.
Wait. You don't remember yesterday. It's okay.
Peter, can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Leslie, at the time, it was a hard time because we had been booked across the America as West Bruce and Laing, and now we were trying to replace it and substitute it. So Leslie sees Peter. That fucking guy's gorgeous. Let's bring him in.
Yeah.
The point is,
my claim to fame. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what he sounds like. He looks fucking great.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't that bad, was I?
You guys got Leslie down. Both of you got Leslie down.
You nailed it.
So I brings me in the back.
You're doing Peter. I do not want to undermine your playing and the whole thing. It was just a very tough to come in at a time when we just come off the West Bruce and Laing buzz, and I felt so sorry for you. But what I really felt is jealous.
I didn't feel sorry for me. that gig fell into my lap, boy. Like I walked out of there like Jukebox Hero, stars in your eyes. Yeah. I mean, I was like, that was it. I didn't even have to do anything else. And
Peter, you walked out of there with more pussy than I've ever seen.
I know. I got a daughter to prove it from that tour, also. From the very first gig. And that's a whole nother story. And I can thank Leslie for that too. But I walked back there. There was Felix, there was Corky, there was Mitch Ryder, there were guys from the Vagrants, there was all these people. And so Leslie goes, play. There's a stack of Marshalls there. I hop on the amp, and I'm playing all these songs from Mountain and West Bruce and Laing, note for note. And he's like nudging me to solo here and there, which I did. And that was it. I left. Okay. We went through the whole show one time. That was it. I went home. He calls the phone. My mother answers the phone that night and goes, "It's some guy, Leslie, on the phone. It's Peter there, So Leslie, And he goes, "You want to come to Japan with me?" I was like, "What?" It was surreal. That was it. What kind of amps do you have? What kind of clothes do you have? I mean, I was ready to go. I had 2 stacks of Marshalls. I had velvet suits. I had satin suits. I was ready to roll.
Did you have a passport?
Well, yes, I did, because I traveled around with my parents a little bit when I was a kid, Mexico, and I went to England. But so that was it. Had him pick up my amps, and 2 weeks later, I was having breakfast with Stevie Wonder and playing with all these bands that I was waiting online for to buy tickets for all night long. Only most of them were opening for us, including playing with Humble Pie and Frampton and Three Dog Night, and it was a kid in the I was a kid in the candy store. It was a dream. I mean, it really was. He needed me like a hole in the head. I always told him that. Why? I was the first guitar player to play with him, and the last, really, and then a lot of stints in between. Mm-hmm. And Leslie had a really big heart. He was very generous. He could be abrasive at times, but what you saw from him is what you got, like he was very upfront, and and it was pretty amazing. But during the Wild West show rehearsals, Felix, was kind of, I guess digging what I was doing, and I wrote a song with him that Corky also, we finished it 40 years later, called Roberta. And I remember the riff like it was yesterday that Felix did when we wrote it. And I have it in my one of my childhood songwriting books in Felix's handwriting. And Felix signed me. They brought me in, and Bud Prager signed me and all that back then. But when they took lunch one day, I couldn't believe I was there. I was like Tom Hanks in his underwear, and I had my back to the door, and I was freaking out. I had an Echoplex, and I was playing with the knob on the Echoplex, making explosions and flying saucer sounds, and playing 1,000,000 notes a minute, and rubbing my guitar all over my amps, and just going crazy. I turn around, and there's Felix and Leslie just looking at me with the sunglasses on. Felix is like grinning from ear to ear. And I was so embarrassed. My face turned 40 colors, but they ended up working that into the show. And I had my own guitar solo, and I would take my guitar off at the end of I was starting to do my Echoplex thing, and I'd throw it across the stage. Leslie would catch it, and he never dropped the goddamn thing. I still have it to this day. It's a 56 Les Paul Jr. That I still have. And he would catch it, and there's photos of me and him doing that. And I would do my Echoplex thing, and then he would start doing all his heavy chords and all this other amazing guitar stuff on top of it. And then Corky set his drums on fire. I don't even remember when you used to set your drums on fire.
God. Was that on purpose?
Yeah, he put lighter fluid out. He put lighter fluid on his floor tom and loosened the skin. And then he light his mallets, and he'd put them up in the air right before White Orange at the end of this big thing that me and Leslie did.
I have to interject here.
Yeah.
I played with Leslie when Corky was out of the band for some reason. I played with him for 3 months, and we were opening up for Kiss on Kiss's very first big tour. So, they had all the flames and the fire and all that stuff. So I remember I did my drum solo. I did a solo, and Corky told me the other day, Leslie always said, it's great to play with Carmine because you get a break when he does his solo.
Yours
so anyway, so I'm doing my solo. I said, Kiss is doing the lighting stuff. I'm going to put some lighter fluid on my cymbals. So I put them on the cymbals. I lit them up, and they're on fire. And then I hit the cymbals, and the fire flew all over the place.
Oh shit!
Off the stage to the front of the stage. There's a bunch of stuff was set on fire in the front.
And you burned the first people.
They
came
10
rows.
with the fire extinguishers and putting it out. And Leslie said, "Fuck that shit. Don't do that anymore.
Oh my God. Well, I can't imagine, Peter, that you're throwing a 56 Les Paul across the stage.
Well, that was in '73. I wouldn't throw it
Still.
now.
Hey,
I had a
Corky,
57 too, a 57 black Les Paul, but a good friend of mine, Al Romano, has that now. That's my swimming pool in my yard, that guitar. I love that
bet.
guitar. I had it a long time, but I like my swimming pool too, so it's okay.
Hey, Corky, take me on this journey real quick, because at the beginning it seemed like it was such an incredible ride. You go from the Whiskey A Go Go to LA to the Fillmore West in San Francisco, to having the Dead before you and Creedence Clearwater after you at Woodstock. I mean, this journey, that was crazy for your beginnings, right?
Well, I'm just listening to you guys go. I love it. It's nice to hear the other people's impressions of working and playing with Leslie. It's great. I never really get a chance to hear it. So I'm just like being quiet, taking it in. And I don't think Peter is playing upon the part that he did play great and he looked great, but it really pissed me off because he got all the pussy. It was really,
Again with this Blue Show. When did the Blue Show start? I really want to know, because I saw an interview with Leslie, and he said he was talking a little bit about just how crazy it was. It was such a whirlwind, going from the whiskey, the local club, to Woodstock within a matter of what, weeks.
Well, to tell you the truth, what happened then, and I don't want to get into it. You go by the book, but basically at the very beginning, it was Leslie was trying to put a band together. It wasn't locked in until Felix said, "Listen, I want to get a proper drummer." I thought Norman Smart was great, but apparently he wasn't holding up on the same energy that they were looking for. So basically, I have to say, the Whiskey A Go Go, no, I wasn't there for that. But let's put it this way: I enjoyed every minute of every hour, every day, for years, on and off the studio, on and off the stage with Leslie. I can't even know. I don't know where to begin, guys. You guys are great. Skunk, to listen to your stories. I remember we ran into you at the House of Blues backstage upstairs in the dressing room with Eddie Van Halen came.
That's right.
And I remember Leslie saying, "I'll never be able to play as good as Skunk." He's
Oh, no,
fucking
that's
amazing.
not true.
No, that's true. No, I'm not. Listen,
Wow.
One thing Leslie did is he loved fucking Carmine, and he loved all. But the thing with him was he would never say it to anybody's face. You know, it's always like he wouldn't divulge any of his influences, because, as Peter Townsend once said, never tell anybody about your influences. Just do what you do. But the point is I don't know where to start, Ron, with stories. I mean, like, it's just like Carmine said, Leslie said, the best part about an hour set is the 40-minute drum solo that Carmine does. Besides the best side in the studio, he would say the best part about recording is the hamburger breaks for 4 hours, But that's, he was totally dedicated to one thing. It was having a great time. He put fun in the rock. Put fun in. He was the funniest guy you had ever met. And we had some great players along the line as we moved along through different setups for Mountain, as the new Mountain, etc. But there's so many times and so many things to say. I don't know where to start, really. It's past my bedtime right now, so I'm thinking hanging in there just to hear your stories,
Well, you mentioned Frampton and Eddie. Both Frampton and Eddie Van Halen are quoted as having as Leslie West as the single most important influence in their guitar playing.
Yeah,
that's right.
He was to a lot of people.
I mean,
to me too.
I remember.
What about Bumblefoot and Richie, and and everybody else? What did you guys think of Leslie's playing? Your influence on you?
Who wants to go first? Richie, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You go first.
I'll go first. My stories suck balls in comparison to you guys. I got nothing. What do I got? I saw Leslie for the first time at Lemoore in Brooklyn in the late '80s.
Wow.
Of course, I knew his stuff long before then. And that's the first time I saw him live. 20 years later, we did jam. We did jam together. And you nailed his voice.
Yeah.
That voice.
I
He was
remember-
a funny guy.
I remember
he had
that kid.
Like his exterior was so, just he had a rough exterior, but
Yes.
just the sweetest
Yeah.
heart. He was just such a nice
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his
I always say he had
Leslie
dark
with the
humor.
Vagrants.
He
With
had
the
dark
Vagrants
humor.
first.
Yeah,
You
he
can tell.
Yeah.
And
And that's all I got.
when the
That's it.
Soft White Underbelly was starting out, we played a place called the Southampton Breakfast Club, which existed for probably about 6 months. You played like at 6 a.m. after a night of revelry at this place. And
Revel, you call it?
yeah,
Great.
and
That's very
Leslie was
precious.
the headliner at that gig, and we opened for Leslie at that show. So this, and then over the years, we did a lot of sheds together, Leslie
Yeah.
and the Oyster Cult, and there's no other player that like puts his fingers down onto the neck and picks the string like Leslie.
Well, as a guitar player, Leslie
totally
only used a
unique
couple of
sound,
fingers. He only used a couple of fingers. Yeah.
Yeah.
His whole,
I tell you,
his whole thing for you guitar players, his tone. It was all
Yeah.
about his tone. And
Right.
every now and then,
You could tell
every now
that
and
it
then-
was Leslie just in one bar. You knew it was him,
Yeah.
his
His-
guitar
his-
playing got more animated, I think, even as he got older. Because, I mean, look, he played great in Mountain and West Bruce and Laing, but Leslie continued to put out phenomenal albums. I mean, that album, Unusual Suspects, he's got, besides having a lot of great guitar players on there.
Hey, not only the guitar, what about his voice?
Yeah.
Oh, his voice
Yeah,
was
there you
killer.
go.
I
Yeah,
mean,
the soulful,
Yeah, good.
yes.
Yep.
voice
Yeah.
coming out of that body was just unbelievable.
And the
Corky,
songs-
you really think, Corky, that there's going to be some material released at some point?
I tell you what, I haven't thought about it only because I just don't want to go there right now.
Mhm.
But I think it'll come out. There's plenty. He did a lot of recording. We have done a lot of recording, and yeah, I would say I wouldn't be surprised if some great songs come out of the woodwork. I don't know right now about it because right now I guess we're still. I guess in a way I'm mourning to a certain extent.
Of course.
But it's more joy. There's more joy, and like you're talking about him, I think it's wonderful. I think that, he always had a tremendous passion for whatever he was doing. If he was doing whatever, he would do it 150% because he was a giant. And I just followed him. I got to tell you, Carmine, you probably know this. He didn't need a drummer. He had more fucking time in his left finger than most drummers do. He didn't need me. All I had to do was basically be a percussionist, play on top of it. And Carmine, the one thing, all these drummers on the road, Dallas Taylor, you name it, as we went along, they came up to me. Hey, Court, if you ever leave, please call me right away. I would love to play with Leslie. And I know why. It's because he never limited my playing. I have to say I was very lucky. He let me flow. He let me go whatever I wanted to do. And between you and I, every time I played with him, I played everything I ever knew, in one show, which wasn't that much.
Yeah.
But the point is that he would look at me and he would say, just play like think about, Keith Moon. Just play like Keith Moon. And I said, well, I'll do everything I can. And, when somebody as a musician lets another musician have the freedom, you can't ask for a better symbiotic relationship. Because basically he never, ever told me what to play except stay off the fucking cymbals. He hated the cymbals because, when you're on stage, the cymbals are on front. So
Yeah.
I did. I just went easy on the cymbals, and that's the only thing he ever said to me in terms of musically. He also told me, as Keith Moon, when you're playing, wear a white shirt because they'll see you in the back. Always wear. And Keith Moon was very cool when he gave me musical recommendations, influences. He says, keep the cymbals really low so you can see the cleavages on the chicks in the front row. These are very musical, influences. But the point is, all I can tell you is Leslie was a free man, and he just enjoyed the freedom that he had. It pissed off a lot of people sometimes. He'd break into his Jackie Mason jokes, and it's kind of like sometimes, some nights it would be a song between the jokes and the jokes between the songs. But who cares? It was just tremendously entertaining. And I have nothing, and again, I don't even know where to start, but amazing stories with Leslie, but a lot of them are X-rated. That's a bit of a problem. But other than that,
that's the Blue Show.
Yeah. I didn't hear about the Blue Show, but I'll stop right here at this point. But Carmine, and you guys know, you've seen Leslie play, and you played with him, and we're very lucky to have him in our lives. He played.
Awesome.
His blue notes were bluer than blue. There was a sad. You're right, Carmine. It was a dark humor. There was a lot of sadness in his upbringing that he translated in that little Junior. He squeezed the shit out of that thing, and he just made it work. And as a result, as a drummer, I just had to try to stay with him. I had to buy metal things like I had timbales just to cut through the Sun Ants. I had to use the cowbell just to cut the time. And hey, I did whatever I could. And you know what? Very lucky little son of a bitch on this little phone call. Really lucky guy. And I know you guys are very lucky. And like Skunk said, we all should just thank our lucky stars that we have a tune in our life. It really is great. And Leslie he was a leader. He was a leader, and he wouldn't take any shit from anybody. He just did his thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Corky,
when I met Leslie, it was around the same time I met Skunk. Leslie, we were playing a club called the Blue Bunny Club, right? That was owned by one of the go-go dancers of the Peppermint Lounge. And she had some rich mafia guy that fronted the money, and I had a funk band with horns and the hair teased up and pinstripe suits, and we would play a set. And they said, "We got this new band called the Vagrants. They're going to work opposite you." And then they came on, Leslie, all those guys looking like the Rolling Stones, with long hair, and they looked like really dirty. And compared to us, we were like clean cut, James Brown band, And the drummer Roger, I had a Gretsch floating action bass drum pedal with a leather strap, and Roger broke my strap. I got so pissed off. Because in those days, I just used to play, not even put any body motion into it. And those guys were like real, Rolling Stones, and we played opposite each other for I don't know how long, a month.
Well, you remember? Was that out in Long Island? All you guys.
No, Manhattan. It was on 46th Street, Manhattan.
No, I remember. I played the Peppermint Lounge with my Canadian band way back, and Johnny Maestro was opening the show. He was
Brooklyn Bridge
back a while.
But what about the Rascals and Dino from those that lounge and stuff too?
Dino.
Yeah.
They were amazing then. When they were playing the clubs before they made it, they were just unbelievable.
Yeah.
The Rascals.
Yeah, Dino. Listen, I'm not schmoozing you. Besides Carmine, Dino was my other Italian favorite drummer.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I told you, Carmine, all the drummers, when I came down from Montreal, Leslie says, you got to check out some of the drummers on Long Island. Sandy Gennaro, Bobby Rondinelli, Carmine, and Dino. And I remember I told you, Carmine, I said, should I change my name to Corky Linguini?
We would have preferred that, Corky.
And Carmine says, you don't have a chance. No chance. We have a club.
But Dino was the guy I emulated when the Vanilla Fudge stock came out.
Yeah.
And then I just took it to the next level.
Yeah.
Well, Dino played with Leslie too.
That's
Dino,
right.
I was in the band with him and Buster Cherry Jones, Dino and Buster.
Wow.
One of the other stints I did with him, but Dino played completely different with Leslie than he did with the Rascals.
Yeah.
Dino
totally
opened up quite
different.
a bit. He did a drum. He was really good. Yeah.
He's great. Dino
Great
was
guy
Well,
too.
Speaking of Long Island, Carmine, we went out to play Tiana Beach Club to replace the Vagrants because the owner didn't like the idea that Vagrants didn't dress up. The band that I came down from Canada, we dressed up in Robin Hood outfits.
Nice.
It was something, but it was the same year
God.
that the Rascals were playing the Barge. So a lot of this has to do with timing. I don't think I have to tell you guys. It's in your life of the music and your career. It's about timing. If you're there and the timing is right and you're prepared, you're going to succeed. But we replaced the Vagrants out there. That's when I first met Leslie. And dig this. Give me a second. The first time I met him, he was trying to get out of the draft the next week. So he had lipstick on, he wore earrings, and he had a bra. Felix Cavalieri told him, if you want to get out of the draft, you gotta dress up like a nut bar. And boy, when I met him, he was like way out there, and he said, "Don't pay. I gotta do this. I gotta get out of the
He told you that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like that movie. What's the movie he was in? That movie.
It was
where he
called.
dressed-
It was,
we were supposed to do that. I was supposed to do that movie with King Cobra, and instead they took Leslie.
yeah, he was dressed up like Deborah.
The Tom Hanks movie.
Yeah, Money
Yeah.
Pit. Was it the
Money
Money
Pit.
Money Pit. Yeah.
Money Pit.
Money Pit.
Yeah.
That White Lion ended up being in the band in that, the background band.
Yeah,
That
it was
scene with
supposed- It was
Leslie.
supposed to be King Cobra. I got pissed at Leslie.
Yeah.
Well, I got to think,
Appreciate
Buck, you're probably tired of hearing the whole cowbell thing 1,000 times. But when you really hear cowbell, there's nothing that could speak to it like the opening of Mississippi Queen.
Right.
Well,
and-
I got my Corky cowbell in the closet here in the studio.
Come on.
Yeah,
You'll probably get $2.50 on
I will. I got it from
Amazon.
D-Drum. When you were with D-Drum, I got it from D-Drum.
Was it actually written, Corky, or was it just a simple count off?
Say that again, one more time.
The opening, the cowbell, was it actually
I'll tell
written?
you, well, I just finished saying we're at the record plant, and Leslie and I have to say, I walked in with the lyrics for Mississippi Queen to his apartment on Park Avenue, and he said, "You got any lyrics?" And I said, "Yeah, I just happen to have this song, this lyric, Mississippi Queen." "You had the music?" I said, "No, it's just the lyric." Within I guess 10 New York seconds, he put the lyric and he started screaming out the lyric. I knew right there. I said, "Wow, this could be something." But
So
the thing
did you
is,
guys
know
write
that-
that song?
That's a
Who
great
wrote that
song, Corky. That's great.
Yeah, I came in with the lyrics, and Leslie
Your
just tore it
lyrics,
up.
your lyrics.
The whole thing. Hey, it's pretty fucking deep. Like I tell you, I got this T-shirt and it says, she taught me everything. This is the T-shirt.
Yeah,
This
right.
is the T-shirt. But what I'm
No,
getting
no,
at,
I'm just saying, who is that? A Leslie and you song or your song? Whose song is it?
I'm going to say it again. I brought in the lyric and Leslie took it home. The voice.
You wrote it
the
about a
fucking
girl
voice
in
on that.
Nantucket, didn't you?
Yeah,
Didn't you
what's
write about
Yeah,
that
I
girl
wrote
that
it.
dancing in
good.
Nantucket?
Molly.
There's a story. But
That's
I got
great.
to tell you
I
something.
like seeing drummers write hit songs. That's why I asked.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Neil Peart wrote a couple of them. There's no question he did. But let me just tell you what the story is quickly, and then I'll bow out.
Yeah.
What happened at the record plant, it was so loud. They had the Sun, the Marshall amps, and there I am with my timbales and my cowbell, and we couldn't count it in. It was too loud. So instead of counting it in, I just did bap, bap. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll imitate it right now. Ready?
Come on.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Don't go anywhere. Ready? So I did that,
Yeah.
and then what happens?
Hold on,
is
I'm gonna
that
go get my cowbell. Hold on.
we're gonna do a duet.
Buck wants
So
to
I-
kill himself right
Right.
now. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
no.
I'm going to get my
He's the
cowbell.
other cowbell band.
I'm going to add some more cowbell.
We got the inventors
Guys,
of
can I
cowbell.
finish the fucking story? Can I finish?
Hey, Corky, this is a family show.
I asked Carmine about that. He says that you can't say fuck or shit in front of a C-U-N-T. I won't do it. Okay, but the point is that I counted that song in with the cowbell because you can't scream it. So we played it, we had the song, and we were mixing it. And I went into the studio, and I said, well, I guess, Felix, may as well cut out the cowbell. And he says, no, I think it could be cool. That's it. It was Felix that said that with Leslie that said, fuck it. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Just take the cowbell.
Yeah.
So they use, and I want to say one thing. I don't leave home without it. You know what I mean? That's
Corky,
Well,
you,
Corky,
you know what I love?
Corky,
You know what I
you're in a
love?
very exclusive club because the only other drummer that I know of that played the intro to a song was Hal Blaine in Taste of Honey.
That's
on the
right.
bass drum.
That's right.
So I think
Hal
you're in a
Blaine.
very exclusive club.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
Loverboy
thank you so
too had
much.
that song
Yeah.
with the cowbell.
Okay.
Good
So,
bookend.
still a
What
very
about
Well, you
the,
know
what
what
about,
hap- you know,
what about
at
the
the bar-
expression? What about the expression? More cowbell.
Oh,
Yeah.
what-
What do we
yeah.
think from that?
Well, yeah, there's no more cowbell than Mississippi Queen. I love
Except
Well, I
for,
have to
except
say,
for your
Peter-
I
song.
love
Peter-
that they
Peter
sampled the Beastie Boys sampled the intro of Mississippi Queen in
That's
Paul's
right.
Boutique, a song on Paul's Boutique.
Yeah,
And
I
they go,
never got paid for that. Hey,
Yeah.
Skunk,
Yeah.
how do you get money for that? You know, how do I get the bucks? But I'll tell you
well,
what.
you can go
thank you very much.
on the digital rights legislation that was passed for pre-1972 recordings. Maybe you can apply for that and get
Well,
royalties.
you know
from
what?
it.
That's good. Peter Chris, I had a beautiful time. The Bonzo Bash. Remember that one, Carmine?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Peter Chris gave me a legendary award. I think it's right after your award, Carmine.
Right,
He gets
yeah.
up and he said he plays the cowbell on every song on the Kiss record. Between you and I don't know where they mixed it, but sure, I think that's terrific. But it was a very big honor to have that. And listen, it's a very big honor to have a cowbell as my on my tombstone. I think my tombstone will have more cowbell on it.
I think the tombstone would be shaped as a cowbell.
Right.
You know, Corky,
There
I
you
gotta
go.
say, Corky, Peter, you know, this is a tribute to Leslie, but really, on behalf of all of us mountain fans, thank you guys for keeping that music going.
But listen,
Keeping it-
I want to hear one more thing. I want to
What?
hear Richie, how Richie was introduced to Leslie.
yes.
Go ahead, Richie.
I was, you know, I just hearing you guys talk about this stuff. I'm jealous. I just feel like I was born in the
Yep.
wrong friggin' time. And you know, honestly, I always felt like that because I was always into the music. You know, not the music that was happening when I was young, but the music that was happened before. You know, and so, the song you're talking about with the cowbell, Mississippi Queen, was one of the few songs that I was allowed to sing in my cover band.
Oh, there you go.
I remember doing that, and ironically, I would put the guitar down and just front it, you know, like a front man, which was a weird thing for me to do back then in that particular band, switch instruments. But yeah, man, I mean, what a legend and what a sound. And you know, you were talking about sounds and amps and loud amps, but that comes out of your hands. That's reality, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Any guitar that
Yeah.
Leslie touched
Yeah.
sounded like Leslie, and I'm telling you, I seen him play like little things like toy guitars, and anything he picked up sounded like him. Any amp he played out of, any guitar he touched, always it just came out like it just made this
Well, Richie,
sound.
you know, I don't mean to interrupt, but Richie, you're talking about like an era, right? An era, late '60s, early '70s,
That's right.
where it was before the click track, right? I never played on
Yeah.
a click track, and never will. But I don't put it down. It's just that there's a special way to play with a click track, and I don't do that. But somebody told me this in reference to what you're talking about in timing, and somebody once said to be a musician or to be a teenager in the '50s was to be a nothing, but to be a teenager and a musician in the '60s was to be everything. And
Wow.
that's all about the time.
Now that's
I
your
think-
T-shirt, Corky.
There you go.
That's your T-shirt.
Well, you can hear it and feel it, you know, as a young kid listening to things, you know, that's where I was drawn to that, you know, and also in R&B,
Yeah.
you know, as a big, you know, Stevie Wonder fan, Sam and Dave and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, you know,
One
yeah,
more-
timing,
one more thing about-
timing is something very interesting because you bring that up. My friend of mine is learning the guitar, and they sent me a video of them playing, and they're learning, and they're playing this riff. And I thought to myself, wow, you know, it's funny. They're struggling with the notes, but this person has the timing. He instinctively has the timing. And that's the most elusive thing for so many musicians is to be able to play and feel, you know, just feel it. And so that's a great point to make. Absolutely.
In time
You know,
and in tune.
When Vinny was like 8 years old, when I left a drum set home, and I went home one day. In those days, I used to go to Brooklyn. I'd drive my Pantera in there, and I'd be wearing full stage gear, you know, to walk out into the house in Brooklyn. All the kids in the neighborhood were going, "Oh, Carmine's here," you know. And my mother came, we're talking to me, and then Vinny grabs onto me, says, "Come listen to this." He drags me in the porch where the drums were, and he starts going, boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, da, 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 boom. And I went, whoa, where'd that come from? My mother said, "He's driving me crazy like you did," but he had the timing. He had the feel and the time that was, and it was a young age. It was unbelievable.
But the next thing that happened, I heard that the thing I played.
Hold on, Corky.
The thing I played, it was on Carmine's next album.
Right.
Well, the point is, I tell you, you're very lucky, Carmine. Consider that era. We had the best seat in the house. You're the drummer, you're on top, you're looking at the guitar player, and you're playing the music, and you're looking at the audience, and everything you do hopefully moves that audience, and there's that great breath that comes back and forth. It doesn't get any better. Talk about being king of the world. The throne on the drum set is a sacred place.
Especially when you're doing your own solo. Right? And everybody walks off the stage, and you're on there by yourself.
And the lights are on
fire.
Rod Stewart used to use my solo to go underneath the stage and put on a new outfit and fix his hair and everything. Come back looking totally cool again, after sweating.
Well, since this is a tribute to Leslie, my relationship with him was the same, kind of like with Gene Cornish. He's one of those people that you meet, you won't see him for 5 years. But when we get together, it's like, no time has passed between. Yeah. So we were doing a gig in Hawaii, a charity gig. I was playing with a couple of guys from the Doobies, different folks. And Leslie was having some health problems at the time. So we split off after the gig and sat down. We found a quiet space. And he said, Skunk, I'm having some health problems, and I'm really not sure what the future will bring. And I have a heavy heart. And the reason I say this is because someone mentioned that his playing at one time started to get not much more passionate, but had a little less darkness to it. So at the time, I was working at Lawrence Livermore, the nuclear weapons lab, and I had a conversation with an amazing gentleman named Charlie Towns, who won the Nobel Prize for inventing the laser. Wow. And after this 3-day meeting where everybody was like eye-watering and femto laser peening and a pure hydrogen atmosphere, everybody's like, Charlie Stamp says, "Screw this. I'm going to give a lecture on the connection between theoretical physics, music, and God." And it was the most amazing hour that I'd ever spent in my life. And when I sat down with Leslie, I said, I had this conversation with this incredible gentleman about the relationship between these three things. You've got nothing to worry about. You are a part of all this. If it was broken, it would have been fixed a long time ago. Just keep going forward. People love you and what you do, and there's nothing to worry about. And he stood up and he said, that makes perfect sense to me. So I don't know if that was a time when he changed his outlook or not, but I just remember that moment when it's like this, I didn't do anything. It was him thinking about it. And it just, all of a sudden, it's like, this just lifted up.
Yeah.
And when he walked out of the room, he was walking straighter and he was walking taller.
Yeah, I'll tell you who helped that was Eddie Van Halen straightened Leslie out. I think it was in Minnesota. Leslie was in rehab, and he saw Eddie play, and he called me. I was in the studio at Criteria at the time, and he told me, "You're not going to believe it, Cork. I'm back." He heard Eddie play. I guess this goes back to the 80s. And but him and Eddie Van Halen had a beautiful relationship. And it's coincidental that they moved on this year together.
Yeah.
But you guitar players are very, very lucky. You got that wonderful inspiration going for you. And for the drummers on this call, or for the drummers in this world, God bless us all. That's it. You got to keep doing it. 50 years later, you got to keep doing it. And I just wanted to sign off by just telling you guys, may the best of your past be the worst of your future. How's that for getting off? Okay?
Very profound.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love to
Okay,
all
that
of
means
you, my
that means
folks.
I'll call you. That means I'll call you tomorrow. Call.
So I would recommend that everybody tonight, when they have a quiet moment, go listen to Night Shift by the Commodores and think
Yes,
of Leslie.
yes, great song, greatest
Yep.
song, really.
Great
You know,
song. Well, you guys,
anyway,
listen, I got to thank you guys so much for being part of our show. Again, Corky, Peter, thank you for keeping the mountain
Thank you.
music alive.
Thank you for having me.
You know, we all salute our buddy Leslie tonight. We all salute, you know, Tim Bogert, who we lost also.
Tim Bogert.
right.
We're going to have a tribute to Tim Bogert on January 28th with some really heavy guys, and including Billy Sheehan. And Billy Sheehan, you know, always says that Tim was his main influence, and he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And he's another one. He's another one like you, Bumblefoot. He's a Hangin Bangin contributor now.
Yes.
He's
Thank you
coming
guys so
back.
much. We need you guys to stay safe, stay healthy.
Yeah, man.
God bless you all, and thank you for what you're doing for music.
you all.
Again, Skunk, thank you, especially what you're doing for our country for years and years.
Well,
and
and Ron,
years.
don't forget to send me that information about the Thailand stuff. I'll help
I
you.
hit up the dude.
Talk to
I already
Ron.
hit him up, yeah.
Over Arcadia. He'll get you all my contact information. We'll help those kids.
Heck yeah, man. All the best
Well,
for
let me
you
tell you what.
guys. Everybody, don't
Stay in
forget,
touch.
every Thursday night, we're here hanging and banging. Artists on lockdown with some of the biggest names in rock
Okay.
and roll. And you can win one of Skunk's sunglasses. We're
Yeah, I
gonna
got to
give
get
away.
ready for COVID. Right, absolutely.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
It was very nice
Bye-bye.
meeting all you
Bye-bye,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, like it, everybody, and we'll see you next Thursday. Good night, everyone.
All right,
Good night.
bye-bye.
Good night.